The Supreme Court heard the oral argument in Helix Energy Solutions v. Hewitt on Wednesday. The case is on employment law and overtime pay. Michael Hewitt, who made over $200,000 a year on a day rate, believes he is owed overtime by his previous employer, Helix Energy Solutions, as he worked 84 hours a week. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor specifically asked the attorney for Helix Energy Solutions if employees are, quote, not paid for any part of a day they miss, then, quote, how does that fit the question of a salary basis? Listen in for his response.
Mr. Clement.
Mr. Clement, salary basis. I think of salary basis is what am I paid for the week? I think of fee, what am I given as an amount? I think of hourly or shift in their ordinary meaning. What am I paid for the hour? What am I paid for the day? Your reading of this takes out basis completely. You're thinking that if I work an hour and get the minimum, that's my salary. But I read 602 and it says, receives each pay period on a weekly or less frequent basis a predetermined amount constituting all or part of the employee's compensation, which amount is not subject to reduction because of variations in the quality or quantity of the work performed. So you're requiring an hour of work or a minute of work, but that's not what the regulation says. The regulation says, what are you paying me for the week?
Well, what it's saying is that it's a predetermined amount that can't be subject, as you say, to reductions for the quality or the quantity of the work. And that perfectly describes the $963 that this worker was guaranteed in a week. Now, he can make more on top of that, but that's not the concern of this regulation.
So
that's additional compensation.
What do we do with the second part of purpose of 602, which is to ensure, I thought the reason for 602 was to ensure that an employee who wanted to take a Friday afternoon off wouldn't be penalized, or wanted to do something else, or didn't want to start on Monday, but on whatever day they wanted to start. These employees don't have that discretion. They're not paid for any hour they take off. They're not paid for any part of a day they miss. So how does that fit the question of a salary basis? Again, or how does that fit the definition of a salary basis?
I think, with all due respect, I think the problem is the 601 doesn't ask, is this employee primarily paid on a salary basis? It doesn't ask whether they can take a day off and how it will affect their pay.
But you tell me 601 says you have to fit 602, that 602 is incorporated.
But only for a very limited purpose, which is to figure out whether total annual compensation includes at least $455 a week paid on a salary basis. And then if you go through 602, 602 does not address the concern that your salary, your guaranteed amount is too low vis-a-vis your total compensation. That's addressed, if at all, only in 604.
Exactly. And so
right.
What you're asking us to do is take an hourly wage earner and take them out of 604 and take them out of 604, which is the only provision that deals with someone who's not paid on a salary basis.
So with respect, I'm not asking you to do anything in particular with an hourly worker. The people who our position will affect.
This guy is an hourly worker.
Well, he's a daily worker.
Well, daily or hourly, but he's not a weekly worker. Meaning only if he decides to stay.
His pay is calculated on a daily basis, but our position affects two classes of people, just to be clear. There's a class of people, and respondent is prototypical, who have a day rate that's above the weekly minimum that's specified in 601. There's another group of worker that's really the second half of the circuit split, and this is the Anani case from the Second Circuit and the Litz case from the First Circuit. And these are individuals whose pay is calculated on an hourly basis, but they're given a minimum guarantee on top of that, $1,000, $2,000, whatever it is. And I think if you go through the regulation and look at what 602 requires, you would see that whether it's a person whose daily rate is above the weekly minimum or somebody who gets that kind of weekly guarantee, they satisfy the terms of 602. Again, 602 doesn't say, are you generally paid on a salary basis? It has a definition of salary basis that allows you to answer the question that's relevant under 601.